This is the Special Police Force unit that even the FBI calls for help. The FBI is recognized for possessing some of the most advanced law enforcement tools in the world, but even they know when they're outmatched. An elite police unit exists that trains harder, strikes faster, and operates deeper in the shadows than most military squads. These are the Special Force units that governments deploy when everything else fails, and even the FBI knows when to call them. But to understand why even the FBI takes notes from them, we need to look at the most elite police forces in the world, starting with the unit that once rappelled down a skyscraper to stop a massacre in real time. October 17th, 1996. An Aeroflot flight takes off from Malta, bound for Nigeria. But halfway through the skies, a lone hijacker storms the cockpit, demanding the plane be diverted. On board that same flight were men he didn't know existed. Austria's EKO Cobra, an elite counterterrorism unit traveling undercover. The hijacker thought he held hundreds of lives hostage. Instead, he had just locked himself in a metal cage with trained predators. At 30,000 feet, there's no backup, no reinforcements, no chance for negotiation. The Cobras moved fast. Within moments, the gunman was disarmed, subdued, and bleeding. The passengers never even realized what had happened until the captain announced the flight would be landing safely. EKO Cobra remains the only unit in history to take down a hijacker mid-flight, and they did it without firing a single bullet. But while Austria's Cobras saved lives in the skies, our next unit fought their battles on the ground, in the back alleys and crowded markets of the Middle East. When most special forces train for battle, they imagine deserts, jungles, or open fields. But Israel's Yamam, their battlefield, is a grocery store, a crowded bus, a family's apartment building. Born out of decades of non-stop conflict, Yamam is Israel's elite counterterrorism and hostage rescue unit. Their mission? Stop attacks before they happen and end hostage situations before a single victim is harmed. What makes Yamam feared isn't just their precision shooting, it's their speed. From the moment an attack begins, Yamam can be on site in minutes, blending into the environment before striking with surgical force. Disguises, undercover infiltration, rooftop entry. Every operation is a puzzle, solved under pressure with lives on the line. One operation saw Yamam operatives storm a bus packed with hostages. In under a minute, every terrorist was dead. Not a single hostage was lost. For their enemies, Yamam represents an unavoidable truth. Nowhere is safe, not even behind a locked door. But if Yamam are masters of crowded cities, the next force perfected the art of survival deep in the frozen wastelands of the north. In the shadow of the Iron Curtain, a different kind of soldier was born, not trained for parades or politics, but for missions no one could ever admit happened. They are the Spetsnaz, Russia's most feared special forces. Created during the Cold War, Spetsnaz were designed to operate behind enemy lines. Their training is brutal, far beyond physical endurance. Recruits are pushed to psychological breaking points, fighting blindfolded, crawling through broken glass, and even enduring live ammunition fire just inches from their heads. The goal? To make fear itself meaningless. Spetsnaz operatives specialize in sabotage, assassinations, and unconventional warfare. They've been deployed everywhere from Afghanistan to Chechnya, carrying out missions that remain officially unconfirmed. Stories from defectors paint a chilling picture: knives over guns, deception over firepower, and loyalty to the mission above loyalty to life itself. For decades, the mere rumor of Spetsnaz involvement was enough to terrify enemies, because if they were sent, someone wasn't supposed to come back. But if Spetsnaz earned its reputation in secrecy, the next force carved its way under the burning spotlight of global attention. Who dares wins. It isn't just a motto, it's a warning. The Special Air Service, better known as the SAS, was born in the deserts of World War II. Small bands of men dropped behind enemy lines, blowing up airfields and striking supply routes before vanishing into the sand. They proved that speed, stealth, and audacity could do more damage than entire divisions. And from that moment, the SAS became the blueprint for modern special forces. Their selection process is infamous. infamous. Weeks of endurance marches across brutal terrain, followed by survival tests in the jungle and interrogations designed to break even the strongest wills. Only a fraction survive. The SAS is called in when situations spiral out of control. Hostage rescues, counter-terrorism raids, black ops missions governments won't admit to. One operation in 1980 defined their reputation forever: the Iranian embassy siege in London. Millions watched live on television as masked SAS operators stormed the building, killing 5 terrorists and rescuing all but one hostage in just 17 minutes. It was more than a rescue. It was a message. The SAS doesn't negotiate with chaos. They erase it. But if the SAS showed the world how a few men could change history, the next force built an entire empire on that idea. When hostages are taken and the world hesitates, Israel sends in Sayeret Matkal, a unit so secretive that for decades the government refused to even acknowledge it existed. Formed in the 1950s, its purpose was clear: strike first, strike silently, and bring Israelis home alive, no matter where on earth they were taken. Their training is brutal. Candidates are pushed through endless desert marches, survival drills, and psychological tests that strip away ego and hesitation. Only those who can stay calm in the face of chaos make it through. Their most famous mission, 1976, Entebbe, Uganda. Terrorists hijacked an Air France flight. Over 100 hostages were held inside a guarded airport terminal. While the world debated, Sayeret Matkal acted. They flew 2,500 miles under the radar, stormed the terminal in a surprise assault, killed every hijacker, and rescued nearly every hostage. The mission lasted just 90 minutes, yet it changed counter-terrorism forever. Entebbe became proof that when the stakes are life or death, Israel doesn't wait for permission. They send in shadows, and the shadows don't miss. And if Sayeret Matkal earned fame with surgical strikes, the next force earned infamy by dominating entire battlefields in the deadliest war zones of the modern era. They call them the Bearded Force because when Marcos deploy, they vanish into civilian crowds, disguising themselves as fishermen, traders, or travelers until the mission begins. India's Marine Commandos were born out of necessity, trained to counter piracy, cross-border terrorism, and high-sea warfare. And their training? Ruthless. Only a handful of recruits survive the infamous Hell's Week, where sleep deprivation, underwater demolitions, and 20-hour swims break even the toughest men. Marcos are masters of the seas. They can slip into a harbor without a ripple, plant explosives beneath enemy ships, and vanish before alarms are even raised. In counter-terror ops, they move just as effectively on land, blending guerrilla tactics with precision strikes. Their most famous mission? The 2008 Mumbai attacks. While chaos erupted across the city, Marcos stormed the coastline, intercepting terrorists who had arrived by sea. Their speed and skill prevented an already devastating attack from becoming something far worse. They are India's silent guardians of the deep, warriors who prove that oceans aren't just borders, they're battlefields. And if Marcos owns the oceans, the next unit owns the impossible sky. It's the force that even the FBI has quietly borrowed from. And if you think you know what America's most elite looks like, think again. The FBI Hostage Rescue Team, HRT. There's a reason even the most elite foreign counter-terror units pause when those 3 letters are mentioned. The FBI's Hostage Rescue Team isn't just another SWAT team. It's the closest thing the US has to a domestic Delta force, and for good reason, because when all else fails, when every second matters, and there's no margin for error, it's HRT that gets the call. But the mission itself is anything but simple. The story of HRT begins in blood. In 1982, an infamous FBI shootout in Miami left 2 agents dead and 5 wounded in a chaotic exchange with 2 heavily armed bank robbers. The carnage exposed a hard truth. The FBI, despite its intelligence and federal authority, lacked the tactical teeth to go head-to-head with heavily armed threats on US soil. spoil. That shootout, seared into Bureau memory, became the catalyst. Just 1 year later, HRT was born. Built inside a heavily fortified complex at Quantico, Virginia, the hostage rescue team wasn't designed to compete with local law enforcement. It was built to surpass even the most elite military units operating domestically. Its members parachute from high altitudes, dive into hostile waters, breach bunkers, and storm compounds, all within U.S. borders. But they don't just train, they live this life. Their training facility at Quantico is legendary. Hidden in the deep woods is a sprawling compound complete with mock cityscapes, airplane fuselages, subway tunnels, and a labyrinth of buildings constructed solely to simulate real-world attacks. These agents don't just practice, they rehearse chaos. They move through shootouts using live ammunition, testing their response to moving targets, uncertain angles, and hostages under duress. Every corner simulates a different threat: barricaded suspects, booby traps, or panicked civilians. Failure is not tolerated because in their world, failure equals body bags. HRT operatives go through a grueling selection process, one so intense that candidates are psychologically profiled, emotionally stress-tested, and physically punished for weeks before being given a chance to wear the patch. Many come from elite military backgrounds: SEALs, Green Berets, Rangers. But even they have been known to wash out. Because this isn't just about muscle or marksmanship, it's about judgment under pressure. It's about shooting only when necessary and hitting only the right target. And the stakes, they're as real as it gets. HRT played a major role in the 1993 Waco siege, where dozens of armed Branch Davidians barricaded themselves in a fortified compound. The world watched live on television as HRT coordinated with ATF and military elements, balancing tactical engagement with hostage preservation. Then came 2002, the infamous DC sniper case. For weeks, 2 men terrorized the region, killing at random from the trunk of a car. It was HRT that finally coordinated the multi-agency response that ended the nightmare. From the jungles of Vietnam to the deserts of Syria, from hidden bunkers in North Korea to hijacked runways in Uganda, one truth is undeniable: the world's most elite forces don't just fight wars, they shape history in silence. Each mission leaves a trail of whispers, a reminder that the deadliest battles aren't always seen, and the most powerful weapons don't always fire bullets. But behind every operation is a story the world almost never hears, and that's where we come in. Here at Luxrish, we uncover the secrets of power, wealth, and war, the stories money hides and history forgets. So, if you want a front-row seat to the hidden world of billionaires, black ops, and untold luxuries, hit subscribe to Luxrish now.